Hello guys and welcome to MotorBeam. Another addition to the adventure category is from Benelli, and that is the TRK 251 right next to me. But then again, there has been a competitor to it since the start, and that's nothing else but the KTM Adventure 250. Now in today's video, since you guys have already seen the review of the TRK 251, let's compare both of these and I'll tell you which one is the perfect motorcycle for you to buy. Before we begin, subscribe to MotorBeam and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Now talking about the design, well, it's up to you guys to decide, but for me personally, the KTM looks very well balanced, very well proportionate. Over here, if you're riding the TRK solo, well, it looks quite nice, but it is very bulky all around. However, if we compare it right now, this one actually looks puny because of the small front tire. The 19-incher on the KTM actually looks big and gives it a lot more attention. However, the adventure trait which is missing on the KTM is the beak, and that is what you get on the TRK. You do get all LED lighting on the TRK, however that is missing on the KTM because you do get a halogen headlight. Now that is a solution to it. They can get the headlight from the 390 Adventure and plonk it onto it, and that is going to make it all LEDs, but as a stock motorcycle you only get halogen. Now instead of complicating things, let's make it clear why should you buy the KTM over the Benelli. Number one reason is you get a complete digital instrument cluster, plus you get ABS modes too, so you can switch off the ABS, which is not there on the Benelli. The 19-inch wheel at the front also helps a lot during off-road situations, plus the dual purpose rubber which is offered on the KTM is actually useful for trail riding too. The engine on the KTM provides more power, more torque, and is a lot smoother compared to the Benelli. Hence, the KTM is a proper winner here considering the engine factor. The Adventure again gets wider handlebars, so if you are tackling off-road situations, you can actually get around very nicely. Plus, it is a very comfortable bike to be on, very spacious for pillion rider too. The brakes on the KTM also offer better feedback to the levers, plus the switching option makes it very practical for off-road situations. So if you're looking for a bike to go touring and if you're under the budget of 3 lakhs, then the 250 Adventure makes sense for you because it can do a bit of trail riding as well, plus it is cheaper than the Benelli. Now talking about the price, well, the winner is clearly the KTM, but there are multiple reasons why you should pick the Benelli over the KTM. Number one being that it gets all LED lights, so the LED projectors which are at the front, they light up the road pretty well, plus the dual pod design is actually quite useful for low beam as well as high beam. The tires which are offered on the Benelli are road tires. Now these are 110 section at the front and 150 at the rear. These are Metzelers mounted on 17-inch wheels, and these are the exact same tires that you get on the Duke 390. So they grip really well, plus the alloy design and everything looks quite nice too. So overall, if you want something that is ready for touring, you can get the Benelli because the 18-liter fuel tank does come in very handy. This motorcycle is completely ready for touring, and if I talk about the ergonomics too, they are way more comfortable on the Benelli as compared to the KTM because the seat height is only at 800 mm, plus for any kind of rider there's good enough space to sit as well as move around. The KTM might feel a little bit tall for shorter riders, plus the handlebar feels a little too wide for adventure purposes, but then if you don't want to go adventure, if you just want to go touring and pure touring, the Benelli makes complete sense for it. Adding a bit more to the practicality, there's a luggage rack which is offered as standard on the Benelli, making it ready for touring. On both the motorcycles you do get visors, but then the one on the Benelli is actually bigger. However, the height is almost the same. The good part on the TRK is that behind the visor there's a rod which comes around. Now that is a part of the chassis, but then that can actually mount any kind of GPS units which mount on a normal handlebar because there's good enough space here. However, that on the KTM there is a GPS mount space, but that is specific to only specific units. You do get body mounted indicators on the Benelli, making it look quite premium. So overall, you pay a premium for this motorcycle and it does look premium, and it does sound premium too. You know why? Once you turn it on, comparing to the KTM, that was the KTM, and that was the Benelli. The TRK does sound better and revs nicer too. The radiator on the Adventure 250 is slightly bigger. It's a curved radiator, plus it has 2 fans. However, that on the Benelli is a normal simple straight radiator with a single fan. Cooling issues, heating issues, not as much on both the motorcycles. However, the Benelli in comparison does get a bit hotter. I had to talk all the good things about the Benelli TRK 251 over here, but that's about it because it's what it is. However, I missed out certain points on the KTM Adventure 250, and that is you get these guards as well as knuckle guards as standard, which are missing on the Benelli. What the Benelli does look like is a naked motorcycle, has the dynamics of it, with a fairing slapped onto it. The Adventure over here looks a lot more purpose built and is ready for actual adventure. The TRK gets a hazard light button, while that's missing on the Adventure 250. But the ground clearance of the Adventure 250 is much better at 200 mm compared to that of just 170 mm of ground clearance for the Benelli. Overall suspension setup on the Benelli is comparatively softer as compared to the KTM. Hence, the balance is actually much more comfortable on the Benelli TRK 251 as compared to the KTM Adventure 250. The mirrors also offer good view of what's behind on the TRK, while that on the KTM, not so great. Coming to the minute bits too, on the KTM you don't get adjustable levers anywhere, however they are standard on the Benelli. And if I compare the horn to, this is a normal horn, this is a louder horn. There are charging ports too on both the motorcycles, however on the KTM it's a 12 volt charging socket wherever you can plug in anything that you like. That on the Benelli is a USB directly, which is a fast charging USB. The last advantage that the Benelli has over the KTM is that this one, even with the fairing and everything, is almost 13 kgs lighter than the 250 Adventure. Thank you so much KTM Husqvarna Chamber for lending us their Adventure 250 so that we can have this comparison today. If you're in the market to get yourself an adventure motorcycle, there are tons and tons and tons of options. The Benelli TRK 251 right over here is the costliest option at 3,23,000. However, you can get your priorities right. If you want to go for adventure riding, you can get the Himalayan or the SD Adventure or even the 250 Adventure for that matter. But then if you want to go pure touring, you should definitely consider the TRK 251 because this one gets the best fuel tank in its segment of 18 liters. Yes, fill it once and forget it. You can just go riding for over 500-600 kilometers in one full tank. Considering the mileage that it gets, this one is definitely worth it. If you want to get yourself a touring motorcycle, Benelli TRK 251, know that name. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, do hit the like button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.